Hello, Forrest Houghton here from Houghton Media Services, and today I have the Turbosound iQ15 loudspeaker. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, I did the unboxing, which is literally just how it sounds, just taken out of the box. And I also did a setup and overview, which was me kind of just going over the specs, explaining all the features, and stuff like that, and then also showing how to set it up or how to integrate it with the Ultranet system on a X32/M32 mixer. And in that video, I had mentioned that I was going to take it out to some place where I could kind of push it to its limit to see how it sounds. And I took a video on that, and then also another video, like a review to explain what my thoughts were on it and stuff like that. Now I did go out, and I did find the place that I could push it to see how it sounds. My landlord is actually a teacher at a vocational school down the street that has a gymnasium, so I was able to go with him, and he was able to let me in. It was a Sunday, so there was no one there. In fact, it was Super Bowl Sunday, so there was really no one there. And I was able to set it up and kind of blast it. So I did bring all my typical stuff. I brought the speaker, obviously. I brought my mixer rack, which is the core and the two S16s, as a mixer to drive it. And I also brought my smart rig, which is a separate laptop that I have that runs smart. I forget the version that I have. And I have a little 2-channel interface and a, I believe, an ECM 8000 measurement microphone. So I was going to do some measurements while I was at it. So I brought it down to the gymnasium, we set it all up. I would have liked to take measurements, but it was kind of hard because it was in the cinder block gymnasium, so the acoustics were absolutely horrendous. And on top of that, I believe my interface is starting to bite the dust, so it wasn't working the way I needed it to. So with that said, I pretty much just blasted music. Yeah, that was pretty much the only way I could really test it. And then also, actually, believe it or not, I take that back. I didn't just blast music. My landlord, he plays, he's Lebanese, and so he has a lute, or an oud, I think. Correct me on that. I believe it's an oud. So he brought that, and we plugged it in, and he was kind of playing around, and it sounded pretty good once we got the EQ'd the heck out of it to compensate for the acoustics. But it was pretty good. And then on top of that, I had a friend who's the owner of Tune Age Entertainment in North Adams, or sorry, not North Adams, just Adams. A DJ service, so he just mainly does DJing for weddings and events and stuff like that. So he came in halfway through, and he brought one of his 15-inch speakers, just so I had something to compare it to. And so he had a Behringer Eurolive, I forget the exact name of it, the model, but it was the 15-inch, and with a built-in, I want to say 500 watt amplifier, or it might be 550, so I'll just be safe and say 500. And so he brought it in, we put it side by side right next to the speaker, and we drove it off of one of the auxes on my mixer, and pretty much blasted music. And so know I know some people on my videos in the comment section, were saying, well, how does it sound compared to like an EV or QSC or JBL or any of those brands? It's really hard to say because I've pretty much used every single brand of speaker you could possibly think of in my 7 to 8 years of doing audio production. So it's hard for me to remember exactly how every single speaker sounds like. So unless I have a side-by-side comparison, it's going to be hard for me to tell you. So if for some very odd reason you have a JBL or a QSC or any other speaker that you want to know what this speaker sounds like compared to it, by all means send it to me. I'll do a comparison if you want, which I don't know why you would, but whatever. Anywho, so what I'm going to explain is more just the comparison between the Eurolive and this speaker. Now, which actually this would be a Behringer if Behringer wasn't part of the music group, but because Behringer's part of the music group, they originally had, this was originally going to be the Behringer IQ series, and then they formed the music group, which then they acquired Turbosound, Midas, Clark Technic, and a bunch of other companies. And so Turbosound being the speaker company in the group, Turbosound took over the IQ series and kind of went off of that. So if it wasn't for that, this would actually be a Behringer. So I'd have to say it'd probably be good to compare the two Behringer speakers. And I know the Eurolives are popular. I've used them before, the smaller 8-inch ones. They sound okay. I mean, they're not great, but they're great for throwing in the back of the truck and getting beat on, super light and all that. But anyways, so with the Eurolive, the 15-inch that my friend brought in, we compared it. So with the result of the comparison, one of the specs on his that are different from this one was his speaker had a 1.5-inch high compression driver. This only has a 1-inch. And so it was very evident when we were playing the music that the high end stuck out a lot more on his speaker. So this kind of lacked a bit of the I have to say louder high end. But it does achieve some pretty high end if you push it hard enough. And then also with the Eurolive on the 15-inch woofers, the Eurolive was a bit more harsh sounding. So it would get pretty low, but it was a harsh low where it sounded very low. I'm not sure how to explain it, but hopefully you'll get it. And what I mean by that is when I say that his low end was harsh, but it was low that you can hear it. This speaker, the low end was not as prominent, but it went lower to the point where it was in the lows that you could actually feel it pounding on your chest. So it was a little bit smoother and more oomph to it, which I kind of prefer. And obviously, the mid range on this was much better. Pretty much all around, this speaker was a bit smoother sounding compared to the Eurolive. His Eurolive, and we both completely agreed on it, that his was, he had more prominent high end and higher sounding low end, but mine was a bit smoother. And the other thing too was the loudness of it. Now during that time, I kind of forgot that his was only a 500 watt speaker, so I was pushing it probably much harder than I should have. And so I was pushing this to the point where it was just below hitting the limiter, so out of, you know, pretty much just as much as it can go. And I was pushing his to about the same volume. And it wasn't until afterwards I was realizing that pretty much I was redlining his speaker. It was just in clip mode the whole entire time. And then I turned it down, and it couldn't even get nowhere near as loud as this could. So yeah, that's all in all. I really like the way it sounded. The Eurolive speaker that my friend brought in, I could see him liking it because it does have the prominent high end and low end, and being a DJ business, you know, DJs are all about the high and the lows and all that. Now I come from a point where I'm mainly going to be doing mixing bands and stuff like that, where I want the full, nice, smooth, the full range sounding. So I think I definitely like this over the Eurolive. Now, I said I was going to record some video from when we were testing it out, but unfortunately I was kind of running short on time, and also I would have had to stop the music and play something, some royalty-free music while I was recording, which would have been crappy MP3, just so that YouTube wouldn't be like, copyright infringement, take your video down, you know. So unfortunately I didn't get that, but I can guarantee you that I will eventually, I'm not sure when, but I will eventually record some video in a real-world situation of this being in use. So whether that's I'm mixing a band and they're using these speakers or something like that. So yeah, so don't worry, I'll get some video of it in use. Let's see, what else? So that was pretty much, it definitely exceeded my expectations. I definitely liked it in terms of the way it sounded, and all that. And then, so that's that, and then just some completely separate things that I want to mention, kind of like, I'd have to say the cons, some things that I didn't like about it, are, and this isn't how it sounds or anything like that, it's more just physical features of it, that some of them I don't like, and this would be more my review side of things of it, of the speaker. So the first thing that came to mind is when I went to go test it out, and I had a speaker stand, and I was going to put it up on the speaker stand. Now mind you, this is pretty heavy. It does weigh, I believe, just over 50 pounds. And the one thing I found really obnoxious is that for being such a heavy speaker, they only put one handle on the side. And I think I mentioned this in the other videos, and I was going to see how well I like that or not. But they have one handle on the side, and then one handle on the very top. But there's nothing on the other side. So when you get a speaker that's this heavy, and you're trying to lift it yourself, it's kind of difficult, because you only have the 2 points up top and on the side. So when you're lifting it, your hand that's holding the top handle is maxing out before you can even get this to the point where the top of the speaker stand is, even on the lowest setting. And so that was kind of obnoxious. The speaker stand I was using was just a regular speaker stand, and for some very odd reason, it did not fit the pole socket on this. So I had to sit it on a cart. So I got to figure out more about that and what the deal with that was. I was thinking that, because I know there's two different sizes, I was thinking it was on the bigger size and I could just flip the pole and have the smaller size, but there was no smaller size. So I'm not sure if that was the smaller one, or if I just needed to make sure I get a speaker stand with the smaller socket. So that's that. So yeah, that's the handle situation. I think that definitely could have been better if it had another handle on the other side for ease of lifting onto a stand. And then pretty much the only other thing I could really think of is the RJ45 jacks on the back for the Ultranet. They're just straight up RJ45. The thing that I really like is Ethercon, and it's implemented on the back of my mixer. So the AES50 feeds are Ethercon sockets, which is RJ45 in a locking socket, which are really nice. But this just has RJ45, which leads to the potential of it can get yanked out easier, and also a lot of times the tabs on the cable themselves that lock it into the RJ45 jacks will break, in which case then it can easily come in and out, and that's one thing. So I wish they would have implemented Ethercons on this to just keep everything locked in there. Now, the Turbosound did come out with the, I believe it was the TSP or TCP series, which I believe is the Sienna series. Just recent, it came out after this. It has, I'd have to look back at the specs. You can look it up if you want to. It doesn't have as much clutter, and it just has 2 Ethercons for the Ultranet and 1 analog I/O. And I can't remember if it has any ESP or not, or any like onboard LCD screen and all that, but I'd have to look back at it. That's the only thing that was kind of like, I kind of wish that this had was the Ethercons. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty good. I like it. It's a good speaker. So, all in all, yeah. So all in all, I think I'll keep it and use it, and hopefully complete the rest of my rig with these speakers. I prefer to get, another 15-inch to complete for mains, and then get the 18-inch subwoofers, maybe like 4 of them, and do either 2 per side or cluster all 4 in the front, and then get some maybe of the 8 or 10-inch speakers to use as monitors, since they are very powerful. Oh, I know what I was going to bring up. If we go back to the Sienna series, from what I remember, I'd have to check back on it. The reason why I would probably still go with this, even over the Sienna, is because I believe the Sienna series they only have 1,000-watt amplifiers in them. And let me tell you, having the 2,500-watt amplifier is really nice. I definitely feel like I get more than enough headroom for what I need. I don't think if I was doing, granted, I haven't done a real world like concert or anything with this yet, but I can't imagine that I'd be running out of headroom on this thing with the 2,500-watt amplifier. So it's pretty good. So yeah, so that's kind of one of the things that would draw me back from the Sienna would be only having the 1,000-watt amplifier as opposed to the 2,500-watt. So yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'd be more than happy to answer them. You can also look up Houghton Media on Facebook, like our page. We're on Twitter as Houghton Media. And my wife is building our website, and it's going to be awesome. So look forward to that. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below. And so yeah, have a great rest of your day. And sorry it took so long. We had some minor personal things to deal with this past month, but we're finally getting back into business. So with that said, have a great rest of your day.